James E. Jizz Henderson. Nobody really knows how he got the nickname, and nobody was really that interested in finding out, to be honest. Jizz was a harmless individual, but an incredibly hands-on, friendly, tactile guy about town. Once he had insinuated his way into your company, extracting him was like getting a limpet off a rock. If he didn't manage with the first attempt, he was there to stay. He'd been known to hang around people's houses for weeks, couch surfing, before eventually going home to his own place. Dougal had even heard he'd slept in someone's understair cupboard for 2 months, like a goth Harry Potter, only being forced out when his mum turned up at the lady's house to tell him his budgie had starved to death in his absence. Now his tongue was making its way steadily through Dougal's ear canal, heading for his eardrum at an alarming pace. "Ah, Jizz," Dougal said, an uneasy shiver of strange disgust shuddering its way down his spine. "Well, hello, you big sexy hunk of manhood," whispered Jizz, fondling Dougal's right buttock. Hello, Jamesy," said Dougal, almost ready to leave his trousers in Jizz's hand if it meant he could get away. Lucky for him, the sound man decided to introduce the band right then. Nodding to Keir, Dougal tore himself from the clutches of the skinny vision in black behind him. "Oh look, there's a band. We're just going to..." He and Keir almost dived through the crowd, leaving the pouting, pale, black eyeliner nuisance in their wake. The band starts. They're a three-piece, but no instruments. They sing or shout and scream, to be more precise, incoherently to a backing track streamed from a nearby laptop. "Robot death music," a phrase coined by the band itself, creating a new genre of pulsing, harsh, distorted guitar sample, laden, doom-ridden techno dance music. Dance music in its loosest term there, because Dougal was willing to bet that even he, at the peak of his drunken, inappropriate and gyrating techniques, would have trouble keeping up with, let alone find, the particular beat and rhythm in any of their musical masterpieces. They put on a great show, but the theatrics of the performance far outweigh the musical competence. Dressed in green and red boiler suits or overalls and welder's goggles, the two men and one woman band proceeded to shout indecipherable lyrics into the distorting microphones. It's a great spectacle though, and the pub is heaving in this particular night, so the owner must be especially pleased with the proceedings, hence this being their second gig here. "You want to go closer?" Dougal was having to shout above the unholy racket now. "Aye, okay," said Keir. They begin to meander through the crowd, trying to command a better view closer to the front of the stage. "Dinna ken about you, but my tinnitus is through the fucking roof," Keir said, holding one finger in an ear. "Well, I'm nae quite so bad," Dougal said, lifting his hair covering his right ear to reveal a day-glow foam earplug sticking out. "You want a pair?" he says, pointing at it. Keir nods and Dougal goes into his pocket, producing a polythene packet of new ear protectors and offering it to his friend. Now, using that second sense I'm sure exists, but it's been scientifically proven not to, Dougal is then acutely aware of someone staring at him, out with his line of sight. He turns round to see the bouncer who'd been standing beside the toilet door, striding toward him, pointing at the bag between his fingers. Aye, what's this then?" he asks, a deep frown upon his forehead, chin jutting, raising himself to his full height. He smiles thinly, obviously thinking he's about to crack the city's biggest drug gang here. Again, Dougal lifts up his hair, pointing at his ear, while simultaneously showing him the packet. "Oh, aye, oh, nae bother, man," the bouncer says, the deflation in his eyes apparent. "Next time, make sure you don't pass them around like they're, like, something else, eh?" He wagged a sausage-like finger at Dougal and strode back towards his position at the toilet doors, suddenly changing course midway to apprehend someone else he's spotted, breaking the Queen's Law. Aberdeen's gangland's equivalent to the Reggie K, no doubt. Cray. Keir changed his mind and refuses the ear protection, waving Dougal's offering away, opting instead to allow the surrounding noise to inflict yet more irreparable damage to his eardrums. "Okay then, but dinna come moaning to me when you're a defoul man, eh?" Dougal shouted, berating men like his mother might have done. "Who's on at Archways, like?" Dougal hears Keir shout through his foam lug plugs. I canna mind, Dougal replied, and proceeded to take his iPhone out of his pocket in order to initiate an internet connection with the intention of finding the gig guide and seeing who is on at the venue. Keir stops him with a swiping hand motion which turns into a gesture indicating that he wanted to go back to where they were at a bar, in the less noisy part of the pub. Dougal nodded back in agreement, stuck the phone back in his pocket, and they then almost literally fight their way back to the previous position they held, managing to hide themselves from Jizz in the way, whose attention seemed to be now centred on a new unsuspecting victim anyway. You liking this? Keir asks, paying the barmaid for another 2 pints. Eh? Dougal shouts back. Keir pointed at Dougal, then his own ear. Dougal catches his meaning and pulls the earbuds from his audio passages. The volume then becomes all too apparent, extremely loud, but just about bearable. Dougal took his phone back out of his pocket and fired up the World Wide Web, on which this occasion was extremely slow, despite there being a 3G connection. 3G. He sees the bars are down to 1. Crap signal. He opens up the browser and navigates to the gig guide, which he remains staring at while the page slowly loads in. He says here that Cataract Resemblance are playing at Archways, Dougal said, frowning and looking up at Keir. They are right, are they? Aye, damn good. That's Ginga's band. Remember him for Peterhead? Keir and Dougal were both born and bred in Peterhead, north east coast of Scotland, right on the corner bit, the tip of Santa's Sack. They learned to drink there and would frequent the local chip shop post-pub session. The owner's children would often be playing behind the counter. Ginga was one of these wee boys, and now 19, had formed a moderately successful band. Oh aye, wee Ginga. Nae so wee new, eh? Keir was right. 6'2" right. They decided the best course of action was to finish their half-full or half-emptied bin in your Outlook pints and head over to the venue to see if the band had started yet. There would no doubt be some support or other on, and this usually turned out some interesting things. Drink up they did, and ignoring the sad upturned faces of the many 18-year-old girls disappointed at their impending departure, they headed out into the dark night and the next venue on their ongoing quest for inebriation and entertainment. Traversing the cold, damp, dank streets of Aberdeen on the short walk to the Archways was relatively uneventful, the only slightly stressful moment coming when running the gauntlet of smokers outside the St Avalon's bar, an establishment not noted for having the friendliest of patrons. Well, to young punks and goths back in the day anyway. Having successfully negotiated that challenge, they were on a straight course to their destination, providing they managed to cross Union Street without being knocked down. The Archways is one of those venues which takes advantage of the many arches supporting Union Street. Going there, you get the feeling you're entering the bowels of the city itself. The proprietor did a good job with it though. It has turned out to be one of the best venues in Aberdeen. A double venue, in fact, as it consists of 2 arches, one a 300 or so capacity space and the other would hold around 200 at a push. Tonight the gig was in Arch 1 and there was about 80 people in attendance. The first support, a 3-piece called Tart Fixture, were on their last 3 songs when Dougal and Keir arrived. The lead singer and rhythm guitar player was a dark, partially dreadlocked-haired, black-clothes, visibly tattooed young woman in her late 20s at a guess. She held her guitar well. Few women used to be able to carry this off, although these days there are lady band members aplenty, and Dougal loved a female guitarist. Strong, confident females looking firmly in charge of their own destiny and ready to kick the shriveled testicles of any male dissenter wishing to say or show his piece. This girl could sing, effortlessly. Dougal fell instantly in love, again. Or was he instantly in lust? This happened quite often. Yep, a girl who can play guitar and sing in a robust and confident way really appealed to Dougal's dreams of the ideal woman. She was leading the band properly as well, not just eye candy adornment you used to find in so many earlier bands. She looked like she meant business and wasn't in the mood to take any shit. I wish we'd came earlier, Dougal said to Keir, struggling to tear his eyes away from the stage. Came the somewhat distant sounding reply. Keir was also transfixed. The 3 songs they heard were great and the band finished to a decent ripple of applause. There might have even been 1 or 2 whistles. Well, I wouldn't have mind stringing our guitar for her, Keir said, turning to Dougal with that lecherous grin he knew so well. I couldn't possibly comment, although I find your libidinousness a tad inappropriate, Dougal replied, gazing over his pal's shoulder at the young rock chick, who was now starting to pack her gear away. She bent over to close her guitar case, and Dougal's senses lurched with a deep feeling of guilt at what he realised he was doing. He shook his head to free himself from the lustful thoughts, and that were coiling their way around his mind like an anaconda on poppers. But damn, her arse looked good in those leather trousers. Keir stared at Dougal for a moment, trying to decide if his friend was taking a piss or really had turned into one of those new man types he'd heard about. "OK, I'll get them in then. Pint," he said. Dougal, with a glazed expression, nodded, and Keir made his way to the bar. Dougal was left by himself for a while, and pretty soon the girl singer passed him by, guitar case in hand. Once it became patently obvious she wasn't going to see him, or notice him at all, he reached out and touched her arm. She turned around, frowned, then looked first at his hand, and then at his eyes. "That was fucking excellent," Dougal said, trying his hardest to smile warmly, nodding, pointing at the stage. Her face softened slightly. "Oh, thanks. Just a pity there weren't more people here." "Aye, you never can tell with this place. Got any CDs or anything?" Aye, I think Jim's got them," she said, pointing at the drummer, still packing up his kit on the stage. "Oh, aye, ace. Right, I'll get one for him then. Anything else coming up?" Dougal asked. She looked puzzled. "Gigs, I mean," he said, making an air guitar motion. "Oh, aye, we're supporting the Revenge Revolution at the Lemon Tree next month, 15th I think it is." Great. Maybe catch a whole set then, eh? You staying for the main band?" "I should say so. The bass player's my boyfriend." Instantly sinking feeling in Dougal's stomach. Aye, right, aye, cool, great, aye, he said, looking around him now, searching for the inevitable 6-foot mean-looking bass player who was bound to be staring across at them, wondering why Dougal was chatting up his bird. No one obvious, though. "Well, OK then, better not hold you up." He was relieved as Keir appeared and handed him his pint. "Oh, aye, right, well, enjoy the rest of the show then. Thanks for coming down." Smiling, the girl turned and walked away towards the venue entrance. "Oh, aye, yeah, you in there, eh?" Keir was elbowing Dougal and winking, making no attempt to cover the fact he was checking out the young woman's pert arse as she walked away. "Nah, nae chance, man. Her lad's a bass player for cataract resemblance, whoever he is," Dougal said, looking round furtively. "Oh, right then. Still, you wouldn't mind though, would you?" "Fucking right, man," Dougal murmured, looking back to where the girl had now disappeared, but shaking his head, the thought that she was completely out of his league firmly in his mind.